see their expectations of a prosperous and safe life trampled underfoot. My lords, this crisis has its origins in a plebiscite of 1961, which I, in my own childhood in the region at the time, recall as being of concern then, certainly to the region, to my father, who was a cabinet minister in a neighbouring country, but also and significantly to members of this House and the other place, who saw in a flawed plebiscite that posed simply a binary question to the English-speaking regions of the Cameroon: join Nigeria or join Francophone Cameroon. That was the choice that was given them. They were not given the choice to form their own independent state. My lords, we live with the legacy of that plebiscite in the plight of the peoples of the Cameroon, and the English-speaking peoples of the Cameroon in particular, to this day. And the horrific figures, my lords, speak for themselves. 100,000 peoples displaced. 3.3 million peoples in need of humanitarian assistance. More than 450 innocent civilians killed in the course of the conflict in the Anglophone regions. Countless separatist fighters and government soldiers killed, murdered, often in horrific circumstances. Only this morning, my lords, I met with someone whose family member was giving assistance to a government soldier who had seen the heads of 4 of his comrades displayed on the road when he returned to the place where those soldiers had gathered. He has gone mad, and not surprisingly. There have been atrocities committed on both sides. As we speak, people are held without trial. People have disappeared, kidnapped, in a dirty war out of which no one comes with any credit at all. And the question is, my lords, what is to be done? And the answer has to be, surely we have to engage. We've had and heard numerous expressions of concern by Her Majesty's government. Concern is welcome, my lords, but concern is not enough. The time has come to engage with some specific purpose. And that purpose surely has to be to inculcate a national dialogue, a genuinely national dialogue within the Cameroon that is designed to address those grievances which are real and which are continuing, grievances that led some years ago now, because the situation has been deteriorating over the last 2-3 years in particular, grievances that led lawyers to go on strike, that led teachers to go on strike because the protections that they had secured from the original federalist solution that followed the plebiscite had been so dissipated that Anglophone students were at a disadvantage when they took exams, that cases could not properly be heard in the courts because Francophone judges were adjudicating on law, the common law of which they had no knowledge, in languages which were improperly translated. All of that led to the increasing marginalization of the English-speaking peoples of the Cameroon. In no other country in the world is an English-speaking linguistic minority discriminated against and disadvantaged as they are in the Cameroon. And how can this House, regardless of its historical responsibilities as the holders of the mandate, which led to the creation of a federal Cameroon after independence, regardless of our responsibilities there, how can we stand by to see English peoples discriminated in this way? But equally, how can we stand by with the universal right that we are obliged to accept, the rights of people to protection? How can we stand by and allow this to happen? So what we hope to hear from the government tonight are the practical measures that they are going to take in order to address this issue. We have, my lords, an excellent High Commissioner in the Cameroon. How is that High Commissioner to be supported by additional resource? We have a commitment, after all, which we have made, and the government has been very clear about that, to increase the resources available in order to ensure that the Foreign Office is able to guarantee the right of protection against atrocity. Are these resources going to be made available to the High Commission in the Cameroon? Because they cannot do it on the resources currently allocated for that purpose. There is upcoming, later on this month, an Anglophone General Conference in the Cameroon, organized by the Cameroonian religious leaders, scheduled for the 21st and the 22nd of November. How are we to support that as a nation with resource? How are we going to encourage the government of the Cameroon to engage with religious leaders in that conference? And crucially, are we also going to seek to encourage the separatist movements also to engage? Because innocent people are being caught between a rock and a hard place. The separatists on the one hand, who terrorize them, the government on the other, who also terrorize them and who at the same time fail to protect them. My lords, let me declare an interest in this particular concern. I chair two charities that are currently working in the Cameroon. The Minister of State for Africa, rightly in my view, referred to the long-standing friendship between our peoples, the British peoples, and the Cameroon, and the fact that we are partners in the Commonwealth. That long-standing friendship has caused Bouquet International, previously the Countess Ramphurly Library Trust, to have worked in the Cameroon since 1962. We have worked in both the English-speaking Cameroon and in the French-speaking Cameroon. We are now, it is a charity, my lords, that trains librarians and provides books. It helped me as a little boy growing up in the Gold Coast and then Ghana by founding the first dedicated children's library in sub-Saharan Africa. We are now no longer able, my lords, to work in English-speaking Cameroon. Such is the impact on education in those provinces. Similarly, my lords, I chair the International Council of the Duke of Edinburgh's Award. We have had a long-standing relationship with the Cameroon. We work closely with ministries in the Cameroon, with civil society in the Cameroon. We are no longer able to work in the English-speaking Cameroon. That is the reality on the ground, and something has to be done. My lords, let me just close my remarks by allowing the peoples of the English-speaking Cameroon really to speak for themselves. One child who describes how she and her family have had to take to the forest in order to be safe, both from the government troops and from the separatists. Her education has been disrupted. She has no access to what we would expect any child to have. This is what she says: "I will not be able to go back to my village and school, which have been burnt down. The forest is now my home. The forest is now my home. There are no schools or books there. I still have hopes to go to school and read books again." My Lords, Book Aid International, with the support